Hello everyone, this is Chris Miller, the co-creator of the Chronicles of PA, along with Richard Gaskin, and it's time again for another game blog where I just talk about some of the design work we were doing in the new Chronicles of PA mobile game. Now this video we're going to be talking about more enemy design, but this is more specifically focused on the Chosen. And for anyone who's read the book, The Chronicles of PA, you know that the Chosen are the main enemies in the book. And since the comic book, it focuses more on just the main bad guys like Tosca and Shemzu, I had to go and design some characters that were kind of like the henchmen, or like the regular grunt foot soldiers of the Chosen. So that's what we have here. And I really wanted to concentrate on these designs specifically, not just for the game, but also for Volume 2 of the Chronicles of PA. So these designs you will also see in the second volume of the graphic novel. And for anyone who's read the first book, or who has the graphic novel, you'll see some of the design elements that I used. If you turn to the back of the book, I show you some of the sketches and just kind of give you some of my thoughts and some of Richard's thoughts on how we designed some of the characters. And for the Chosen, we wanted to kind of have each character in the Chronicles of PA almost kind of has like an animal theme going on. So for the Chosen, we kind of decided like the Rhino, since the main general Atiga, his kind of symbol is kind of like the rhino. That's kind of how he sees himself. So his soldiers kind of take on the same motif, and that's why you always see that horn there. And that first soldier you just saw was kind of like the guard, maybe like the honor guard that you will see on a level in the game. And this one is more just a warrior type that you will see in the game. But like I said, the rhino was kind of like their motif, just like for the wizard Tosca, his is more of the crocodile. But for the Chosen and their soldiers, I kind of wanted more of a rhino motif. And some of them are going to have more heavier armor than others. Some will want to be a little bit more lighter because they're for close quarter combat. And like I said, just to give it a different look, because we've seen so many different types of fantasy out there from different races of people, different groups of people. And the reason we created the Chronicles of PA, because you really don't see that type of fantasy as it pertains to ancient Africa. So we wanted to kind of do something different, but also something that is somewhat familiar. So like I said, I always try to add lots of different design elements. Like that core African artwork is the basis for my design. As you can see in some of the masks and the helmets and the shields and the armor that I designed, and some of the color schemes, very African, whether it be East or West Africa in my design elements. But I also incorporate just some modern fantasy ideals into it. So just like I said, just taking an African mask and turning that into like the shield or the armor. So that's what I mean by that. I kind of combine different elements to create something that's unique and something we haven't really seen before, but also something that's very familiar. Like familiar in that this guy is a foot soldier, but he looks cool. That's my main thing as far as like doing design work. Does it look cool? Does it look like something that you would want to play or someone you would want to fight against? So that's why I wanted to make sure that these designs were fun. Like I said, you can see the warrior here. Had a lot of fun designing this one. I like the way this one looks a lot. Like I said, you will see this definitely in Volume 2. Now this one is one of my favorites. And this is the captain of the Chosen. And what I mean by captain, he's just like kind of a, you got your grunt soldiers, but then you got your almost like a sergeant or a captain that's like a leader on the battlefield. And this character I wanted to make kind of a little bit bigger, a little bit bulkier than usual, just to kind of have a different look to each of the sprites. So all the sprites aren't looking exactly the same, or they're not just different colors. Like I talked about before, I always like my sprites to have kind of a different silhouette. So if you just saw their silhouette or you just saw their shadow, you would definitely know the difference between them. And since these sprites are going to be a lot smaller looking on a screen, a mobile screen, you'll definitely be able to tell which sprite is which and which character is which. You'll definitely be able to tell them apart very easily. So, like I said, the captain here is going to be something different. He's a little bit bulkier up top. He has some heavier armor. Very strong, very imposing, and looks like he could just go in there and just, you know, steamroll you, essentially. And he has the heavy armor, he has a shield. And the original design, I think he had an axe, an African-style axe, but I decided to go ahead and change that and give him a mace. And this mace design is, I want to say it's from East Africa, but it's also been seen in the Middle East, and that those cultures kind of mix together sometimes because of the invasions and whatnot. So this has more of a East African feel as far as his weapon goes. So I gave him a mace instead, something that he kind of just clubs and bashes people with. So not only can he just steamroll you with his body or with his shield, he can also just clobber you with his mace. And you're going to see a color version of him very soon. Here's the colored version. Yeah, I like that a lot. Lots of fun with that. And I didn't get a chance to record these characters, but I'm just going to show you the final design. And these are just the basic troopers. So you have a trooper here. You can see he kind of has his hair is cut for battle. He has the khopesh. And I decided to give the axe to the other version of this character. So there's a trooper 1 and a trooper 2. So this trooper kind of gives you a different look. See, there you go. He has an axe and he has a helmet and a different type of shield. Like I said, his shield kind of takes on that African mask dynamic. And yeah, so this is it for the character designs. I think there's going to be another blog on some of the creatures in the game. And then we're going to focus more on backgrounds and mostly animation. And we'll see where that goes from there. Chris Miller signing out. Peace.